Alright guys, TacticalRab here, and I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. The big roster change going into Major 3 was officially confirmed last night, with Ravens signing Rex instead of Vivid, and that has now been made official. Is Rex the man to take them to the next level after many years grinding down in challenges? And where could Vivid potentially go next? Scump was certainly surprised when the announcement initially came through that Vivid was gone from the team. Is he a player in a position to join another team before the end of the season and potentially take them to another level? Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate it. We're just going to dive right into it, right? Because we saw the rumours around this the other day because Prolute had replaced Rex on his challenges team. The interesting thing for me was that Ravens just decided as soon as they were going to get rid of Vivid, they just dropped the tweet immediately, and then of course had to figure out who their replacement was going to be, who they were going to sign, and actually getting that contract done and finalised. So we saw this back on Monday. Today we're announcing the departure of Vivid. That has now been, of course, made official, and Dylan Rex is going to be the replacement coming into the team. So Rex has been grinding for years. It's actually kind of remarkable to look at his career and, just how long he's been around for. I know that people will say that he looks a bit like, I don't know, like Scrappy and Neptune, or maybe he's another Zuma clone. I don't know. People see different people, don't they? But I did want to have a quick look back at this, really, because you guys can just about see this. This is the Black Ops 4 season, right? And these are only LAN tournaments. Just to keep in mind, Rex has been down there in challenges for years, and it's actually super typical that he's finally made it into the league, especially because last year, I think it's kind of a known thing now that he had an offer from Rocker, or at least that was a possibility, and he either said no or something happened, and like he could have been in the league earlier than now, but he wasn't. And he's effectively waited out for this opportunity, backing himself to keep frying down in challenges. And that's what he's done, and now he's earned the chance. But, I mean, have a look at this, right? 2018, he played a tournament with Vivid, which I thought was pretty funny. He played a couple of tournaments with Vivid. Back in Vegas Open 2019, of course, the event, the first event in BO4 was actually held in 2018, but that was the event, of course, that was won by OpTic Gaming. Famously, Dashy was the MVP of that tournament. And then, yeah, Rex has been around a long time. These are all events during the Black Ops 4 season that he played. Fort Worth 2019, and, towards the end of the year, played the amateur finals, and actually played at the COD Champs that year with Sage, Cells, Gravity, Hollow, and Vivid, right? So again, him and Vivid were kind of a duo back in the day. Some other names that you might be less familiar with, or you may remember, I mean, looking back at names like Skilliosis and Charles and so on, this kind of brings me back. And then in Modern Warfare 2019, of course, there weren't that many LAN tournaments to actually play, but he was still around the scene. He played a bit with Jimbo, and he played with Phantoms. I think he played for Phantoms for some time. This was during the Vanguard season, right? A couple of Challengers tournaments that he played that year. Second at the College COD playoffs with Silly, actually, was pretty notable. And then Modern Warfare 2, still, played a tournament here with Classic, Gunless, and Bristini with Phantoms, but really has been the last, I don't know, couple of years or so that he's kind of elevated. You can see some of the, couple of things that he's won here on the left-hand side. And of course, in recent times on this Omit team, Rex started to differentiate himself from the pack. So we confirmed it yesterday, excited for the opportunity. And on paper, he makes more sense for this team than Vivid did. Vivid is a solid player, in my opinion. Is he going to go to another team and improve them? That is a question that people will raise. But from a flex perspective, someone who can run that second AR, Rex makes a fair bit of sense. Maybe he could be the Ghosty in the same way that Ghosty came into OpTic a couple of years ago out of challenges and delivered a really impactful performance. Of course, Ghosty that year for OpTic wasn't exactly a slayer. I mean, he did pretty well in that role, but he added more to the team. That team needed some leadership, and that's what Ghosty provided. This Ravens team doesn't really. It just needs someone to slay and fit with their structure and play at some decent pace. And if we look at some of Rex's recent performances, I mean, these are his recent results in challenges. And again, this is why it's so great that easyMac actually tracks these numbers and why the player should actually stay in the lobby, because you guys can see all of the series that he's played in challenges. He was actually at the World Cup, of course, wasn't he? And he was playing on FaZe Black then. Or it was the Stallions, wasn't it, right, that they went by that tournament. And yeah, he had a couple of rough maps against Toronto and Boston, and then they 3-0'd Miami, which was like the worst looking team in the history of esports. Somehow Miami, I don't know what they were doing that event, but they were atrocious. So anyway, they got 3-0'd, or they got 3-0'd by a couple of different teams. But since since then in challenges, he's kind of been on fire. This isn't obviously every single series that he's played, but you can see that this year on this game, Rex has been looking nice. I mean, even look at his recent performances, 1.5, 1.1, 1.2, 1.5, 1.3, 1.4, 1.4. Not a bad run of form going into getting this pick up here to the league. And this, of course, is now the official call-up. Now, how much time has he had to practice with the team is a question. I don't really know if there's been anything at all, because it was only, what, Sunday when Ravens played Surge. So, and as soon as that happened and they got reverse swept, they were like, okay, yeah, we're making the change, we're bringing in Rex. But I don't imagine that they've had tons of practice time. So we'll see how it works. It is probably a risk that is worth taking. And I did want to say as well, I don't want to put it in the thumbnail, but like for the last, I don't know how many years at this point, if you guys follow the dope check and the podcast that we've done over the last couple of years, although the Ina has been basically banging the drum as hard as possible for Rex to get into the league for years. And I don't know how much impact she has had on getting his name in the conversation, but you know, so congratulations on some level, and hopefully it works out for Rex. I think it would be a cool story. I did want to share though what Scump had to say on Vivid when this was first locked in and made official. Now this clip of course is before the Rex thing was confirmed, but you can tell by Scump's perspective, they're like, wow, yeah, Vivid dropped is a bit of a surprise, and there's obviously a discussion maybe that there could be another team around the corner.
Vivid dropped, really? That is an absolute bomb right there. For who? Did they say for who, or is it just him gone right now? Nothing yet. Wow.
We're headed to the war
I honestly didn't hear anything about that. That's a usually I hear, you know, things that are going on. I didn't hear anything about that. Damn, good luck, Reese. We've seen a lot of team changes this year, man. Everybody's making changes. I wonder who it's for.
Wait, can he rejoin to OpTic?
Dude, what?
I don't know. Somebody said, can he to OpTic?
No, Vivid just got dropped.
Oh, like Vivid, the pro player.
Yeah, Vivid on Carolina.
Who'd they pick up?
They haven't said. But they just tweeted it out. Kind of crazy.
Shit, bad day to have an eye disease. I gotta get out of here.
Your team leader.
It's almost like the whole world started coming after the fucking what happened over there.
We should land.
Yeah, that's tough.
Isn't Gwinn like the one that plays online really well, then sucks on land?
Damn.
Why Viv? No, I didn't say. That's what people say. Why did Vivid get dropped then?
Because he's the only person that is droppable on their team.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm landing second story roof.
Bad day to be Reese Vivid.
So Vivid did a similar tweet to Kenny in some respects when Kenny was dropped and said, look, played some of my worst COD recently. It was expected, unfortunately, that I was going to get removed. Have to hit a reset and lock in on what I know I have to do. And Vivid did spend some time last year down in challenges. And I mean, Tim said this on the Dope Check show the other day, that as far as he was concerned, Vivid was less than spectacular in challenges when he's been down there, but he did get the opportunity back into the league this year on the Ravens. And to be fair, on LAN, he was pretty okay for the Ravens. It's just LAN is one thing, but unfortunately online COD is a really big deal, right? And back in Madrid, Vivid was pretty good in a LAN environment. However, they turned up to Major 2, didn't deliver as well, and their online stint since then hasn't been as strong, and they were going to get rid of Vivid anyway, right? But the question is there another team that he could go to and improve? Because this year, it's more challenging, I think, for players like Vivid to get an opportunity like that, mainly because there's not that many teams that really need a sub. Now, there are a couple of teams in the conversation, but this year, because the SMG is stronger and the Jackal is the go-to gun for now, I will just quickly say the Jackal has been nerfed, right? And relatively substantially, but the pros are not playing on that patch yet. The Challengers players are, and the Challengers players, I believe, have brought back the reinforced barrel on the Jackal as like, they've kind of un-GA'd it to compensate, to keep the meta balanced. Whether the pros will agree, I can definitely see it, shortly after the major or whatever the patch update comes into effect for the pros, that we have this GA conversation about the strength of the weapon. So that's probably coming down the line. So that was just a quick aside. But in this game, the Jackal is, and because of the movement and the way that the maps are designed, it's not really an AR's paradise. And that's why I think it's so impressive that Cellium and Scrappy, for example, are really right there in that theoretical MVP conversation where there's not many other ARs that have been able to deliver a performance like that this season. But if you look down the teams, okay, Simp and aBeZy, HyDra Envoy, CleanX JoeDeceives. You've got Neptune and 04, right? Like, you know, you look through the teams, and obviously as you get further down, they get weaker and weaker, right? The SMG combos. Ravens obviously decided that they needed a new second AR to Vivid, but I mean, Vivid, I think they tried it in a scrim set. There was a rumor that they tried it for Gwinn. They put him on the sub and they put Gwinn on the AR, but it didn't really work, like badly. They maybe could have kept with it and maybe it would have figured it out, but I think they decided, you know what, instead of trying that, we're just going to get rid of Vivid and bring in a proper second AR to Slasher. Makes a fair bit of sense, I would say. There's some talk about Purge and Snoopy. You know, could you put Snoopy with Vivid? But I don't really like that. I think Purge brings a lot out of Snoopy, and also he's a very vocal player. So I like that combo. Boston also are not going to have the money to just, you know, throw around at getting players. Not like it would be expensive exactly, but it would be, is some expense involved. If you drop a player, you've got to pay them at least a couple of months of salary. Miami's off the table. I mean, OpTic is an interesting one. I don't think, like, there's no way that would ever happen or make sense to happen, but this is the thing for Vivid, right? Because I don't think he's getting another spot as an AR. That didn't work, and it's probably not going to work again. He could get a spot as a sub, but what teams need a sub? I mean, Shotzzy and Huke, they're not going to be going anywhere, certainly not yet, and if they are, then it's not going to be for Vivid, it's going to be for somebody else, right? It's going to be for HyDra or something. Not even sure they could do that right now, but you know what I'm saying. Cloud9 is maybe an option, just because Mack's performance now compared to at the start of the season is definitely weaker. There's been a fair bit of talk about maybe if Cloud9 need to take a step, what do they do there? They were, of course, considering attach for Capsidol, which they've not followed through on, but that was certainly a conversation that they had in a scrim set that they played. I guess with the intention to have Cap and then Kremp on the subs, put Mack to the flex, because Mack was a disgusting flex back in MW19 and actually might be where he is best suited. So maybe there's a world where Vivid to Cloud9, just because, I mean, Vivid's played for like every org in the league, but he's not played for them. So maybe that's another one they could look to sign. And then you'd have maybe attach gone or Mack gone or something, but you know, you'd end up finding a different way to run the flex AR combination with Sib, and then maybe Vivid could slot in. That's maybe an option. Rocker, I don't think it's going to be happening. Falcons, it's not going to be happening. And then Gentlemates, I mean, you know, maybe, but you've got Kismet and Johnny, it's pretty unlikely there either. So I think for Vivid, it's difficult to really see any team that he could join immediately. I think the reality is that it's probably not going to be happening, and therefore he's going to be back down to challengers again with another mountain to climb. I don't know where you guys think the Vivid stock currently sits. I don't think this period has been incredibly damaging for Vivid in terms of his performances and all that type of stuff. He's been like respectable enough at times. I mean, we can go back to the Major, for example. They're back at Major 1 where, he played pretty well this tournament. Given in hindsight, of course, there was, he had the swollen eye and the issues with that. But actually, if you look at the numbers, these are the LAN KDs so far this season. This is Major 1, Major 2. And if you look at the numbers, okay, Vivid was 0.9, right? So it's not like Vivid was carrying them on LAN or anything like that. And obviously the overall stats look substantially better when you look at Gwinn. But, Vivid didn't really have a great Major 1 or Major 2, really. He played okay, but it wasn't great. Don't know what's happened there. We've looked back in the past. I guess I should probably filter by this current season. There you go. That'll give you the overall numbers. So that's where Ravens currently sit. I think for Vivid, he's definitely got a bit of a mountain to climb to probably get back into the league. Is he one of the players in this kind of category? I don't know what you guys think about this in the comments below. I definitely think Vivid gets the reputation as being a little bit underrated, the player who can do a job for a team, and we've seen that many a time in the past. But after being on 6 different teams in 6 different years, pretty much like 5 in 5, he's basically done the Asim route. It becomes more challenging to get a spot back in, and other teams will start to question, like, okay, why does he keep finding himself as the odd man out? Is there a reason for that? Despite the fact that on some of his previous teams, it's felt like he's kind of got screwed over. But in this case, on paper, it does make sense for the Ravens. And if you look at the team, I mean, with Rex, if Rex could drop numbers like this, which he's not going to do because he's coming in from challenges, he may, struggle like Lunarz is currently struggling. But I would kind of doubt that. When you've got Slasher, Rex and a talented player that's still maybe pretty raw from challenges, and then you've got all the experience around him with Gwinn, especially with all the talent that he's got. you know, this team definitely does have an awful lot of potential. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.
We have enough.
You think my wife will fuck me tonight, even though she heard me say kitty cooter? Talking to Scump?
I'm going to the loadout or the buy.
It is 1 p.m.
Oh, I am so sorry. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's probably the Oh my god.
I was waiting for that. Shout out to the sponsorship.
It is 1 p.m.
Shout out to the sponsor.
Hey, for what it's worth, man, if you want to have fun with your friends and talk a lot of mess like that, I think joining the Navy is a good place to do it. In the barracks.
There you go. There you go.
Nah, all the boys just vibing after a hard day. You earn your stripes together.
Still going.
Still going.
Then you go out in the town.
Stop talking.
He is actually still going. This is impressive.